When the first drillings had begun, most had considered it another of Schenk's pet projects. His desire to improve the conditions of the Angolan populace had been noticed by the higher echelons of the Ministry for Colonial Affairs. But Sudwestafrika had always been fulfilling its duties towards the Greater Reich, so they had left him free to do what he wanted. After all, a few thousand slaves liberated doesn't change the larger picture. Today, however, they must be probably rethinking their beliefs, as the first reports of what has been dubbed the Angolan oil rush are on their desks, as well as Schenk's. The expressions are completely different, however. The bureaucrats in Germania are most likely bewildered by the amount of zeros in the gains part of the report, while Schenk looks at the documents with a rare look of satisfaction. This has been his biggest best after all. By making Angola self-sufficient in oil production, he can not only supply his beloved plains, but also kickstart power production plants, bringing electricity to the region's main settlements. Quality of life hasn't been the only improvement, however. By ensuring an efficient supply of electrical energy, the power outages plaguing factories and military production plants have all but disappeared, considerably boosting the production rates. And native discontent is decreasing as they get access to services such as heating and road illumination. Investors are flocking to Sudwestafrika to get a share of the oil pie, and Wolfgang is more than happy to let them do this. Everyone is welcome to join him in making Angola a better place to live. If only they knew they won't get a single Reichsmark back, he thinks, letting out a chuckle that surprises him. When has it been the last time he'd had anything resembling a sincere laugh? Perhaps the end of his suffering is near, after all. I hope so. Now get back to work. So Germany will be pleased at this. We have maybe... currently they are extremely pissed. However, we don't seem to have really gained any millions of US dollars. Anyway, we have finished essentially our oil focus tree. Now, the economic side of the focus tree is, let's just say, divided up into three sections. There's the repair yards, which is more industrial. There's the mines, which is more regular resources based. And there's the fueling stations, which is obviously oil based. Now, in real life, Angola is a massive oil producer, but it seems like the Germans have been quite incompetent in this timeline to really set up anything resembling what in a real life's oil production run. Man, look at all these resources. Anything what real life's production looks like around here. Now, this is especially important right now because we are obviously an Air Force focused country, or whatever you want to call it. Now this also means that we can sell fuel, so we can get ourselves some good old zeros. Liquid cash gain 6. I'm thinking that means $6 million for 20,000 fuel. Right now we have 40,000 fuel and we gain 400 per day, so essentially 400 per day, and you remove 20,000 means that like 400, 4,000, 40,000 would be 150 days of fuel production. 50 days of fuel production, that's you $6 million, and I believe this event happens every 70 days. This monetary deliveries event to Deutschland happens every 70 days, maybe. Let's wait until it actually finishes. Come on. So 90 days. Okay, so that's $3 million every 90 days. So basically, we can pay off Germany for the rest of for the rest of Germany's tenure as our overlord just by selling extra fuel, which is quite nice if you think about it. Now, that's also gonna pay for some more investment projects, which is always ever good. And we have 19 factories and, or I should say 19 industrial capacity. It's always kind of strange how it's called factories when it's actually industrial capacity. Wait, military factories in use 9 out of 7. Thinking phase, what the fuck's going on? I have no idea. Our good friends over here have 24, and they have 12 plus 3, 15. So we're catching up to Central Africa and definitely gone above Africa, which is always quite nice. I do like how they essentially, actually, if we improve the infrastructure, do we get more oil? We do, which is an interesting proposition. So eventually we want to do that because, well, Angola is going to be a quite important part of our plans. We actually have cores. Wow, we have cores on all of these. And here we go with a bit of a Madagascarian civil war, which is only the beginning of the end of essentially stability in the southern half of Africa. The end of the end is going to be when Großgermanisches Reich decides to get involved. Anyway, a formal invitation from Reichskommissar Siegfried Müller. So basically he wants, I like how we can only go on a hunt with him, actually. It's just that the text is bugged. It's either go on a hunt and accepted or go on a hunt and refused. Now, in the lore of the mod or whatever, Müller and Schenk are decently friendly, so sure. There's no telling what the expedition might entail yet. Let's go on a hunt with him, sure. I wonder what's gonna happen. So anyways, right now we are just going down the the left-hand side of the focus tree. This one has $1 million in investment funding. Give us 2 military factories. Why, yes, of course. That is exactly what I want to see. And so lots of fuel. Yep, $12 million. So now we just need to wait for some extra political power to buy ourselves some military factories. How amazing. Anyway, yeah, we're going down the left-hand side, which is eventually going to go down to the industrial magnets focus, which is going to essentially increase our investment coming in from Germany. Quite nice, and increase the production efficiency cap and growth. I'm not sure if we're gonna have time to get the Western methods and the Afrika miracle later. Germany will be greatly pleased by this. How amazing. Which would be lovely because then we would get 9 oil in Malanje. Where the hell is Malanje? Or Melange. I'm guessing Melange because it's Portuguese. Bodies on the bridge. What the hell? There were three were found on the Katumbela River Bridge, with an additional 2 underneath discovered after an extensive search. A number of fingers were severed, bayonets were likely used, believed that the mandibles were torn out before death. Likely the work of a nearby guerrilla organization under surveillance by the city garrison. Shing's palm stands against the manila folder, once, twice, 3 times. A group of settlers, just some shopkeepers and clerks, found butchered in Katumbela. It wasn't the first time that the city's name had come across his desk. I do not seem to see that, though. From the name, I'm guessing this is a Latin name, so it's probably in Angola. It wasn't the first time, but his office had sent a shipment of arms there just last month for classified recipients. A truck full of rifles, bullets, grenades, and even some well-made German knives. All part of the constant game that every Reichskommissar had to play with their territories and available resistance groups. Now, he can't take this. His gut rolling, his heart pounding. Schenk storms out of his office, out of the building. He hastens to the nearest staff car and strikes a fist against the hood, startling its young chauffeur. Airstrip, now! Must clear my head. So, guess he sends some weapons to insurgents in a sort of covert way. Oh, the might of industry! I love industry so much. The best he could do was enjoying the fruits of this strange thing he had never known, prosperity. So he's following the events are following this character known as Valdemar, who is this black Angolan, I believe, who is the only, or is the first native graduate to the for essentially like the Air Force Academy. He's working, I believe, as a mechanic or something. I love the sort of writing novel kind of style. I'm still trying to find how to fit it into a video format. So if any of you have like suggestions on how I could, you know, how I could like work things around for a better viewer experience or whatever, please tell me, because I don't think that like just sitting around and raiding for every event really works out. But the focus, not only the focuses, but also the events are very important in TNO, and the events sort of convey how the atmosphere of the nation that you're playing is shaping up. And for example, you should probably pause and read all this, and you know, it's following this guy called Valdemar. Like, you know, it's representing how Sudwestafrika is more quote-unquote progressive than the other places. You know, everyone kind of looks down at him, everyone German kind of looks down at him and the other, you know, native people that are mounting up, you know, showing up in the essentially military to be, hold on a second, you know, to be discriminated against, but also to sort of fit in more and more. And anyway, he could now buy more food with his salary as the prices had dropped and all that. So, you know, he was even able to afford a wristwatch. It was a cheap trinket, and the actual timekeeper was so small it was barely visible, but it was the real thing. So, you know, amazing. It's pretty good. Why was this man, the Shank everyone talked about, so interested in their well-being? Interesting. Hey, it has a nice image, so that's pretty cool. The might of industry. Everyone loves the might of industry. So yeah, that's about that for our current ongoings. I'll see you later. The radio studio was stuffy. Technicians buzzed around, setting up the communications equipment for the day's important radio broadcast. Reichskommissar Schenk sat in the middle of this maelstrom of chaos, a somber expression befitting the occasion. In any moment now, the former pilot would receive the okay to read his prepared speech to all in the Reichskommissariat. A tragic day had befallen the Reich, with the death of the most important man in the history of the German people. The most important man indeed, a failed painter turned architect of a crumbling empire. The Führer's 1,000-year Reich, won in blood, now ran on the back of corrupt opportunists, of cruel fanatics, and most importantly, on the back of spineless bureaucrats. Germany was rotting from the inside, and Reichskommissar Schenk knew that, short of its main pillar, the Reich would cave in on itself. The Commissar might have wept for its poor inhabitants once. Now he felt that after 2 decades of endless destruction exported abroad, Germany would only reap what it had sown.
They sowed the wind, and now they are going to reap the whirlwind.
Based Bomber Harris. This collapse would no doubt spread to Africa. Even as the Reichskommissar began to read his well-rehearsed eulogy of the Führer, his mind wandered. All 3 Reichskommissariat were powder kegs. Any embers drifting in the wind could trigger disaster. At the very least, the coming trouble would no doubt ground the African wings of the Luftwaffe. The Reichskommissar relished the thought of ending at least one source of pointless bloodshed. Anything to ease his burden, anything to bring him relief for a situation he was incapable of fixing himself. The Führer always taught the German people that the toughest times can only be overcome by the strongest of men. As vanguards of the Aryan race in Africa, we must be vigilant to keep the light of civilization enduring on the dark continent. Schenk ended his speech. One of the technicians cut the microphone. The Reichskommissar stood and left without a word. One less criminal in this world. Okay, so basically, Hitler is dead. Crab dance. It's always good when Hitler dies. And, well, soon enough we're gonna see a German civil war. Oh, yep, exactly. Heydrich's Germany is rising up. Of course, Speer's Germany is incoming. And Bormann's Germany. And Göring, of course. Ah, they changed Göring's portrait. He looks really old now. Honestly, it looks like Bormann, by far, has the largest chance of winning over here. He's got a ton of territory. And there we go. German Civil War is going in. The end of the Reich, surely. Come on. Oh, the worst kind of news. Oh, what's going on? I was expecting a exactly. That's what I was expecting. It's always nice to see the super event. The worst kind of news. A few days ago, all communication from Germania had stopped, and they began anew only 4 different voices asking for the same thing: supplies and reinforcements from the colonies, and all adamant and denying that the other 3 had any authority. Suspicious about this whole thing, he had tried to contact the usually hated Ministry for Colonial Affairs, hoping to shed some light over the communications chaos. His suspicions had turned into fear when the phone had gone unanswered 1, 2, 3 times. Then an entire 2 days passed with no answer. He sent a desperate plea to his former comrades in the Luftwaffe, hoping to reach at least one of them. Finally, the phone connects, and a tired voice tells him all he wanted to know. With every word, his face becomes paler, and at the end, he now finally feels how Oedipus felt when he learned all about his origins. Well, basically, Oedipus was that Greek character in a play that fucks his own mother. It's more complicated than that, but, you know, I don't know anything about Greek literature. Ludwig, you must be... Wolfgang, for the love of God, don't return home! Stay there and pray that this madness doesn't spill into the colonies. We are... A loud sound and explosion fills the line, then the voice returns. Wolfgang, they have arrived! It isn't safe anymore! And the line dies. Okay, so his hands start to tremble and cold sweat runs down his spine. He can't deny the truth any longer. The Reich has collapsed into civil war. As his mind fumbles to understand what this would mean for Europe, for the colonies, and for the entire world, one question is louder than all the others. What the hell am I gonna do now? Okay, so basically it looks like... it's interesting. It's interesting how I didn't see this when I played as Ostafrika, but oh, there we go. The end of the resources from Germany in the market, and the end of the monetary deliveries, I suppose. So, yeah, our entire, like, sort of economy of payments and revenues is pretty much gone. There we go. Ostafrika proposes the Africa Shield. Schenk. Aside from the speaker. What do you want, Herr Huttig? A guarantee of sorts. How are those birds of yours? Completely operational, thank you. Then they'll solve well in the coming days. What are you planning, Huttig? Total victory, tying loose ends, fulfilling our destiny, whatever you call it. Okay, yeah. Of course not. The Luftwaffe in Africa is at your behest. Okay. Interesting how it looks like the event is written from Huttig's perspective and not from ours. Anyway, so we're now in Africa Shield, which is quite, let's just say, terrifying. Anyway, let's do work harder, not smarter. Lovely. There we go. Hans Speidel assumes control of Germania. So there's now 5 Germanys. Well, actually more than 5 Germanys, because there's going to be Crimea breaking away, which is going to be a 6th Germany. There's all the Reichskommissariats. There's the crazy civil war in Ostland with based 6 million German men and yeah, all these people. Chaos in Ostland, of course. And yeah, it's quite likely that Bormann's gonna win. And there we go. Ordenstadt, Burgund, tax France. Brittany that tax France, so France is gone. Soon there's going to be the civil war in England and all that we know. And enjoy. Anyway, there's a ton of wars going on in Russia right about now. Oh, and there we go. The Boer Republic has risen up against South Africa. So I'm not sure. I haven't played South Africa, so I don't know what causes this. But I think I'm 99% sure that it is... Oh, need to see. Okay. Thankfully the game did not decide to crash, because that would have been annoying. Okay. Now we got our guys on the border. There's a few troops in the rear just in case they love naval invasions. And I am betting that they will love naval invasions. South Africa probably has a navy. Well, we don't. They do have an air force too. Total airplane count 161 to 258. We have more planes than they do. How amazing. And there we go. So the Rijkscommissariat of South Africa, of course, declares war on the Union of South Africa. So we're gonna join, of course, even though we're not exactly the happiest about this anyway. So there's a couple of important things going on right now. So we have the Shield goes to war. The call has come out from Cullinan. Niederstussen. West African divisions have begun to advance on the South African border, while fighters and bombers take off from remote runways. The contingency plans that colonial officers have been drafting for years will finally be put into effect. While news of the invasion has yet to reach the general public, our press office is currently preparing a statement to be read by the Rijkskommissar on all radio stations. In the meantime, the mobilization of anti-aircraft units and reserve garrisons around our major cities will surely attract attention. We must strike the South Africans quickly and with overwhelming strength. Okay, so Krieg und Sieg, of course, Nazis. And then we have the eternal question. Never easy to sleep in the African heat, even with winter approaching. Schenk's eyes tracked a fan, lazily cycling in the dusky room, blah 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 blah. War in Germany. Crows fighting over the corpse of the fatherland. War in Africa. A pointless struggle to maintain a pointless system. Failing colonies defended by a shield of SS fanatics and corrupt mercenaries. And by Reichskommissar Schenk, the most despicable of them all. The pilot had flown so much, trying to leave on the ground his sorrow, his shame. Lost in the sky, he could daydream by himself, helping the natives, giving them the means of overthrowing the German systems. The logistics of it were dead simple. None audited Sudwestafrika, especially not in these times of civil war. Giving to the natives weapons, finding and encouraging leaders, leaking intel about German garrisons. A better man than Schenk would have done this a long time ago instead of idly daydreaming about treason. The Reichskommissar had found in himself endless steps of willpower to endure being a cog in this infernal machine, but not a shred of determination to put a stop to this war without end. Torrents of discipline applied to cowardice, heroic amounts of efforts to do the wrong thing day after day. In the distance, the changing of the guards. Good lads, here to avoid a life of drudgery in Germany and all that. Okay. A decision. Grim certitude. As the Reichskommissar began drifting to sleep. No matter the cost, Schenk knew where his heart would lead him in the next morning. So to attempt to save Angola, or to try to defend Germany? I mean, the entire reason why I picked Sudwestafrika was for the big brain save Angola. Oh, we get the... oh, of course. Was for the big brain save Angola. It's weird, I'm not sure now, because it's gonna be very, very awkward. Like, oh, here come the South Africans. It's gonna be very, very awkward. Weirdly enough, I've grown to like Sudwestafrika a little bit in its current shape. But, we're gonna be the good guys for once. So, we get a new focus tree. The push for a better tomorrow. And it goes into 2 routes. So the secret war, which is gonna be about essentially contacting supposed friends or anything like that, and even sabotaging our friends. Which will, raise their suspicions, so there's gonna be suspicions. Oh, I see, send more planes. This will lower the suspicions. Airlift their men. Ah, I see. Amazing. Supplement Hutuk's ranks. Personally lead a bombing run. This will lead Müller's suspicion. This will lower Müller's suspicion by a lot. Amazing. Reichskommissar Schenk can personally lead a bombing run, impressing his colleagues and lowering their suspicion, even as if our Reichskommissar misses all of his targets. Of course. No suspicion at all when fucking ace pilot with the greatest German technology misses. And then the Yankee connection. Our savior in red, white, and blue. Cut our losses. Okay. And then we have the audacity of our hope, which is going to be about building up Angola. History will be kind to us, but it's time to take our bow. The war for independence will begin. Now, there's a bit of an issue. When I played as Ostafrika, it was ridiculously easy to win this war. I am a good percentage sure that unless we like seriously undermine Hütig and a little less so Müller over here. Müller's not so like, he's strong, but he's not as aggressive as Hütig. Especially Hütig wants to come in and win, and the Boers, then South Africans are not gonna be, you know, doing too well, especially because they also have the ANC insurgency to the OF. Of course, the ANC insurgency is like possibly the only the only tag that's gonna be somewhat friendly to us once we rise up as Angola. But anyway, this is gonna be the dilemma for the next episode. I'm probably gonna go down the sabotage route first while trying to lower the suspicions as much as possible, and then trying to deal with this first, and hopefully we can delay this war long enough for us to complete our focus tree, which is gonna take for fucking ever. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.